Alrighty, let's see how this goes. So we gotta figure out what spacing we were using before. Yep. Beauty. Okay, so 3.5 inches is what we want from our previous line. We're working on proof of concept number 1 on reversible quilt design. I believe we should get quite a big temperature rating difference simply by turning the quilt inside out, if this works. But I don't know if it's going to work because I've never done anything like this before. I've made a few things over the years, repaired a bunch of stuff, but never worked with insulated garments for these kind of extremely lightweight materials. Using a cutting board as a straight edge, and also my baffle measurement. Looks like where we want to be. So let's see how this works. Okay, we got that marked. Alrighty. So the idea is, if this baffle design works, there should be gaps between the baffles when it's oriented in one direction, and there should be no gaps in the other orientation. We shall see if that is true. But if it is, I expect to see quite a range in warmth. Maybe 10 to 15, possibly even 20 degrees difference. This is 10D nylon from Dutch Wear. Seems to be pretty nice stuff. Put the needle back in the center for this operation. And minimum tension. Stab that little guy and see how we do. This would be a lot more fun if it wasn't all stuffed already. It'd be much, much easier. However, the nature of trying it out as I go is that it got stuffed right away before we even knew if it was a good idea. Stuffed baffles, they don't want to play nice. Not at all. Going backwards is going to be the least fun part of this, I think. At least there's not a lot of that. Okay, back to forwards. It's nice when there's sun out, you can see right through the fabric, see what you're doing. So off we go. Last weekend I was working on a buddy's tent, and that was very difficult. Big canvas tent. Trying to put through the middle of this tiny little sewing machine. Grandma's sewing machine for the win, I guess. Hopefully I'll get to show her some of this stuff. Well, never works out as well when you got an audience. Ooh, don't do that. sewn lengthwise at least. Nice. For a second I thought I put it on the wrong side, but I didn't. Good, good. Okay. Call that the right spot to start. Yeah, right there. Probably go just a couple stitches handwise here. See if we can keep it together. You really gotta go right to the edge with the down, or you're going to be in trouble. Down will take any opportunity it gets to get out of here. Doesn't really want to be there, and this fabric doesn't want to be under the foot either. Ooh. Okay. Maybe shift that over just a little bit. Okay, so when I get to the middle here, which is pretty close, then I gotta shut this thing down. Yeah, I think there. And I'm gonna open this up, flip that over. That needs to get out of here. That needs to get out of here. This has to stay. Backwards on the corners is bad. Sewing machine doesn't like that at all. Well, the thinking is that the first generation of anything that I make, we will call the ugly edition, and just kind of lean into the whole founder created, founder, sewn or something. Because hey, if it works, that's good enough. But the expectation needs to be set that it ain't gonna be that pretty. Because if there's a will, the down will find a way, I would say. That's been my experience. Okay, well, so when I first got the down, it was pretty squished in there to that bag, and it seemed to be much easier to deal with. But as I release the pressure, it comes out a lot easier. And it turns out that's not really what I wanted. Now I have all this fluffy clumps of inhalable down. There's got to be a better way to do this. I will find out what that is. I have just been filling it by eyeball. Every time I filled it one of these baffles, I've put less in, as I'm learning that I just don't need as much to accomplish the loft. Yeah, pretty annoying to put together, but if it works, I guess that's okay. That's part of the deal. Once I'm out of proof of concept stage, we can work on making this more repeatable. What am I going to do with this mess? I'll just try and inhale some. It should be good for my lungs, and the rest of it, maybe I'll collect what I can here. Okay, well that was fun. I got the down kind of pushed away from where the seam here is going to be. It's all back down there. This needs to be like this. That's pretty good. Let's see if I can do a better job. Oh, hey, I need to move slower. I had originally liked the idea of very small seam allowances, but I'm coming around to the idea that very small seam allowances are probably not as important as seams that function. Switched my outlook on that. So a little bit bigger seams allowances and locking that down in. Alright, let's turn that around rather than back it up because it doesn't like backing up. Like I don't think it likes kind of anything when it's that close to the edge. Alright, that's one more baffle hopefully completed. Looks like I got it. The center part, this part right up in here is kind of tricky to get right. Okay, let's see how we did. Well, I think we've got a new low for the amount of down I've installed. I'll probably learn something from that. I'm hoping that I learned that it's fine, but I may not. I might learn that that's just a little bit shy, which is maybe where we're at here. Okay. That is what it looks like. So we've got big gaps between them when they're pulled this way. It's laying over top of you. But if you put it this way, it all kind of hard to see from here. It all kind of lines back up. This should be this one not included because it doesn't work. But those ones they all sit right together. And again, if you flip it over, you got gaps. Okay, I'm gonna try and demonstrate how this is supposed to work. So we've got a pillow here. That represents the human. So if we take a look at that. Now, if we were to put this quilt on this way, as you can see, it's all the baffles are nice and tight, close together. We can maybe even get a shot from a little bit lower here, which will be tricky on this tripod, but we'll work on it. If we take a look here underneath, let's go where we've got some sunshine. We can see, can you see the sunshine through here? A little bit. You can see there's like almost gaps in between there if I move it around, but just when it sits and lays pretty close together. So the gap would be here and here, but they've been closed up. Now, if I flip it over, we just drop her down like you would if you were sleeping in it. Now you can see right away, the sunshine comes right through. So you got some pretty big gaps. Again, if I just take the same thing and give her the flip over treatment, we have very little gaps. Now I'm working on a couple different ideas on how to deal with those. And as you get more tension across the top here, those are gonna squish down, and you can see as it squishes down with just a little bit of tension, the gaps go away. That's with a 3.5 inch between the center of baffles. We could reduce that down to 3 inches if we wanted to. But yeah, you get the sun through is a really great way to look at this, like that. And then if we put it this way, you can see already just totally different amount just based on that curve of the pillow, and not a lot there. Yeah, there's enough